Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
We need to get community. We need this thing to be bigger than just our little circle of players and coaches.
Are you kidding me? Touchdown, Oregon.
With 2 seconds on the clock. He hits it!
That's the bigger picture in this thing, allowing the community to celebrate the hard work, blue-collar mentality this group brings to the table.
And the Ducks have won it! The Ducks have won!
We get to struggle together, and we get to have joy together.
Dante will dribble it out! The Ducks are Pac-12 Tournament champions!
I am so proud right now to be the head coach at Oregon.
Oregon's a Fiesta Bowl champion in a 12-win season.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
What a great weekend it was to be a Duck over the weekend. I'm Ryan Milano breaking down what is a postseason-filled weekend for Oregon here on Duck Insider today, where the Ducks, they are Pac-12 champions. You heard Joey say it in the open for men's basketball. It's also true for Oregon track and field on the women's side, where the Ducks took home the Pac-12 title there. Also, Oregon men's golf in action in their postseason. They're down at the Baton Rouge Regional, just closed out, just fresh into the clubhouse about 10 minutes ago here after round one of their opening round of regional play out in Louisiana. Also, Oregon softball. We know where they're going for postseason play, and there's a familiar opponent for head coach Melissa Lombardi on the other side, and it's not postseason yet for Oregon baseball, but we're coming down the home stretch and a whole lot of postseason implications after the Ducks took down the Dogs in Seattle over the weekend. Are there any more? Is there a better sentence in Oregon athletics than Oregon beats Washington? I'm not sure.
No.
I don't think so. Scott agrees with me. Scott Phillips says no. I agree. I don't think that there is. Oregon got the series win against Washington up in Seattle on the baseball diamond as well. It is going to be a fun show for you today. We're going to get the reactions from Coach Lombardi as well as Valerie Wong and Ariel Carlson and their regional seeding coming up on the show. Also breaking down how Oregon took the Pac-12 crown on the track and field side of things and so much more on today's show. First, we're starting with track and field because the Ducks, they are Pac-12 champions. And here's the reaction for the Oregon women getting the Pac-12 title again. And here comes the bath. Coach Schumacher trounced in the I believe it was water. I'm not sure if it was water or Gatorade. I think it was water, and it's well deserved. The vibes in Colorado were absolutely tremendous for Oregon after taking home the track and field title on the women's side of thing. It's the third consecutive Pac-12 title for the Oregon women. It's the 14th Pac-12 title, and the Ducks on the women's side of things are the forever Pac-12 track and field champions. How did Oregon get it done on the women's side of things? The Ducks scored 150 points to take the top spot in the conference, and it was widespread contribution. 17 of the 21 events Oregon scored in for those 150 points. And Oregon had a lot of stellar individual performances, in particular one on the track side in Jaden Mays. You see her holding a 3 up right there. Yeah, the Ducks' third consecutive Pac-12 title. The senior Jaden Mays has been a key contributor in all of those Pac-12 titles because Jaden Mays has continued to surge in conference play, in conference action. For the second consecutive season, Mays was the Pac-12 Women's Athlete of the Meet as the high scorer. She accounted for 22 points on her own. She took the win in the 100-meter, doubled it up with the win in the 200 meters. That accounts for 20 points. And then ran in the 4x100-meter relay where Oregon took second place. You divide those 8 points by 4. That's where she gets those extra 2. 22 points accounted for by Jaden Mays. She is the first Oregon woman to win the award, the Women's Athlete of the Meet at the Pac-12 tournament. Twice she's won it in back-to-back years, and just the third woman ever in the conference to do so. In winning the 100-meter with a new lifetime best time of 11.01 seconds, Jaden Mays broke the meet record of 11.03 set by English Gardner in an Oregon uniform in 2011. She was back on the track later in the day to run in the 200 meters where she ran a time of 22.46 seconds to double in the sprint event. She becomes the 7th Oregon woman to accomplish the 100-200 conference sweep. She wasn't the only dual winner for Oregon on the women's side, as Jada Ross on the field took home 2 conference titles. Ross won the shot put on Saturday, and then on Sunday, she recorded a lifetime best in the discus to end up doubling in the field events, where she had a throw, the implement of 59.74 meters, her winning discus toss, which added 4 feet to her previous best, lifetime best, and made her the number 2 performer in school history. She was previously number 3, continuing to climb that Oregon leaderboard. It wasn't just the women's side of things that had success. On the men's side of things as well, Elliott Cook also doubled as champion. He's now a 3-time Pac-12 champion and the first man in program history to pull off the 800-meter, 1,500-meter double. The first race of the day for him was the 1,500, where he used a surge down the stretch to emerge from a pack and end up winning that final kick in the last 100 meters to take the win. And then roughly an hour later, he once again outpaced the field in the last 100 meters in the 800 meters, stopped the clock in 1 minute 48.18 seconds for another Pac-12 title, the only Duck to ever win both the 800 and the 1,500 on the men's side in the Pac-12 tournament. Ducks had a whole lot on the podium. Oregon had a ton of champions. The double for Elliott Cook, the double for Jaden Mays, the double for Jada Ross. PJ Ize-Iyamu won the 100 meters on the men's side of things, so Oregon swept the 100 meters on the men's and women's side of things. Shelby Morin on Friday took the hammer throw championship. Raphael Rapp on Saturday won the decathlon for Oregon, and the Ducks on the women's side won the 4x400 relay. Those just the champions, because the runner-ups, Oregon with the silver medal, Shalon Ayildiz took the 1,500 meter runner-up, as Taylor Kochek won the heptathlon second place prize. Katie Kloot got second place in the steeplechase. Shayla Scott got the high jump runner-up, and then the 4x100 meter relay for the women got that runner-up. I mentioned that with Jada May as part of her 22 points individually. And also third place, the bronze medalist Matthew Erickson in the 800 meters. Rounded out for Oregon track and field, as they are Pac-12 champions on the women's side and will forever be Pac-12 champions on the women's side. The Oregon men, they were in the mix pretty much the entire meet, finished in 4th place for the men there in Boulder for the Pac-12 championships. Pretty strong showing for Oregon on the track, as now it's looking forward to Hayward Field as the national meets. They're coming up. Those are coming up later in the month, only a few weeks away. We're going to get to see some Oregon Ducks as well there. It's going to be the summer of Hayward once again. It's always fun when Hayward Field is up and rocking and packed, and there's going to be a whole lot of meets to get out on Hayward Field over the summer. I'm looking forward to it. I'm most looking forward to postseason for Oregon softball, because the Ducks, They figured out where they're going for postseason. Melissa Lombardi facing off against her former team, the Oklahoma Sooners. We're getting to Oregon's regional selection when we come back on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. It's Emmettith and Nicholas.
Congratulations on getting your diploma.
You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Back here inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. A bit of a clarification. I skipped over the NCAA West preliminary meet for Oregon track and field coming up. So May 22nd to 25th will be the NCAA West preliminary meet in Fayetteville, Arkansas, before the NCAA Championships that will be held here at Hayward Field in Eugene on June 5th to June 8th. So still one more meet before those NCAA Championships as Oregon is looking to send athletes to the NCAA Championships coming up in that first week of June. Oregon softball won't have to wait that long for their postseason as their postseason continues to roll on. Starting on Friday at 2:30 is when Oregon will face off against Boston University because the Ducks are dancing to the Norman Regional. Oregon as the 2 seed in that regional. Here's the reaction for Coach Lombardi's squad. Never gets old hearing your name, and there were a few faces and a few looks over, a little side-eye to Coach Lombardi because you know what it means for Oregon to be the 2 seed in the Norman Regional. Coach Lombardi has a lot of history against Oklahoma. That was her former school. It's where she used to be an assistant coach, was with that Sooner program for 21 seasons, where she helped guide Oklahoma to 4 national championships and 15 combined Big 12 conference titles. Now, the focus, it's not on Oklahoma right away because Boston is on the other side, and it is a Boston team that has rallied a lot towards this back end of the season. They are 52-4-1, the Terriers on the season. Both the Patriot League's regular season and tournament winners this year. Boston has an NCAA best 38 consecutive game unbeaten streak. Oregon is looking to snap that in Game 1 of the regional on Friday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. That game will be televised on ESPN+. the 4 teams in the region. Oklahoma, the number 2 overall national seed and the number 1 seed in that region, followed by Oregon, the 2 seed, with Boston, the 3 seed, and Cleveland State, the 4 seed. Now, I have something to say about Cleveland State, and it's that Cleveland isn't a state. And it's not just with Cleveland State specifically. Ohio is the state. Cleveland's in Ohio. Ohio is the state. Cleveland's not. It's just not a state. It's just a clarification that I feel like is important. If you guys want to educate me, if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour, YouTube, Facebook, if you know why the city names are sometimes for the university called state, please enlighten me. Cleveland's it's just not a state. No disrespect to the Cleveland State program, but it's just not a state. That's just me. That's just my gripe with, I guess, the naming. But hey, what do I know? What do I know? Oregon works. Oregon is in a state, and Oregon's just itself. It hurts sometimes to give the Beavers credit, but Oregon State, it makes some sense in the naming department. It does. I digress. I really do. Coach Lombardi going to the Norman Regional, a familiar place for Melissa Lombardi as she spent 21 seasons with the Sooners, focusing on Boston first, but postseason right around the corner. Coming up on Friday, postseason for Oregon softball. They already had their first game of postseason in the Pac-12 tournament. Now it's the NCAA's, the regional. Coach Lombardi's thoughts to the assignment and the draw of the Oklahoma Regional and the Norman Regional for Oregon. Here's Coach Lombardi after she got the news.
Yes, we were excited to get into the tournament. It never gets old to hear our name. Like, that's the best feeling in the world to hear them say Oregon. And I think about our journey and how hard this team has worked this year. Everything we've done has been earned. And to hear your name called, it's the best feeling in the world. So I'm excited. I'm proud of this team. They're prepared. They're ready. We've played tough competition all year. We're in a great place going into postseason, and we just can't wait to get started.
Sure. Yeah. There were projections, obviously, that suggested you might be matched up with Oklahoma, but so probably not a surprise, but just your thoughts on seeing you're going to Norman and potentially going to face the Sooners, and just what that's going to mean for you personally and what it'll mean for your squad as well.
I think for us, postseason's postseason. Anywhere we go, whether it's to Norman or to any other regional, it's going to be it's postseason and it's going to be tough. So for us, we're caught up in ourselves. We're caught up in getting ready to go play. We're caught up in our first opponent, which is Boston University. And I think that's the biggest thing right now is for us to get prepared for them.
Yeah, I mean, you've been able to avoid the Sooners for a long time at Oregon, but now that you're finally faced, did you ever think about when this day would come and what better way to do it than to be in the first round of the postseason for regionals?
For sure. We're looking forward to it. I'm excited to get back to Norman. I'm excited to take our team and go compete. We're excited. It's postseason. Like, we've been waiting for postseason. And so we can't wait to get started. We're trying to get all of our details figured out, but looking forward to it.
Yeah, some of those early details might be the scouting report on the Terriers. Kind of just early, quick thoughts on them. Long way away from home. Good thing you guys can meet in the middle, right?
Definitely. I played against them before. They're coached really, really well. They win. They win every year. They know how to win. They play a tough schedule. They've always pitched well. They hit well. They're a very complete team.
Missy, just how often day to day throughout the course of the season do you stay in touch with Patty?
Oh, no, we, I think for all of us, we're right in the middle of our season. So I think everybody's trying to tend to their seasons. So when we needed to get in touch with each other, we do. I know when the stadium was built, I was really, really excited. It was a long time coming. The stadium, it took a long time to get there. So I was, being a former player and obviously a former coach, I was excited to see that happen. So Can't say enough about that stadium, the fact that it's finally here for them.
Coach, obviously there's the reunion with Oklahoma happening, but also you're going to have a reunion facing off against Alyssa Brito. What do you remember about coaching her freshman year and her progress throughout her college career?
Yeah, just a great athlete, very versatile, had a lot of power, just the will to win, very competitive.
I wonder if do you feel like, obviously it's a different team, but last season's experience can fuel you a little bit still, kind of knowing what it takes to go to a place and knock off a host team in a regional round?
I think so. I think experience is everything. I think about the experience that you gain is what allows and prepares you for what's next. And to be able to go to Arkansas last year on the road and to win a regional, I think that is huge for us. And our team is familiar and they know how to do that.
Obviously, you guys had a pretty long meeting after, you found out where you guys were going. Just what was your message to the team and how are they feeling, especially after a tough loss in the Pac-12 tournament?
Excited. I mean, as soon as our names were called, the room just erupted. They were so excited to hear our name and are looking forward to going to Norman, are looking forward to going to, getting caught up into postseason. Right now it's just figuring out when we're leaving and getting school. We're still in school, so getting those things situated and just working out the details. But they're looking forward to it. We didn't like the way we finished in the tournament, but I think our journey is our journey. And sometimes there's just a part of your journey that is required you to go through it, and it's going to benefit you down the road.
When you're this late into the season, you got so much film out there to go back and watch. How far back will you go of watching film of BU?
I'm sure we'll watch as much as possible. I know for me, I usually watch a lot of film, and when I get to a point where I can walk away and felt like I've seen enough, then I'll do. So I don't know how many games that is, but I'm sure it'll be a lot.
What made Kelly Maxwell so difficult last season, the multiple times you saw her, Missy, and what, if anything, that you know about her may have changed, if anything, in her year in Norman?
I think she has the ability to change speeds. She's got some good vertical separation, up and down movement. She's a competitor. She's in her final year. She knows how to compete. She's just a great athlete. So what was nice is that we did get an opportunity to see her last year and are familiar with her.
All right, Coach, obviously throughout the year, we've seen the T-shirts postseason mentality, and, this is that time. How much of the preparation throughout the entire offseason feels like it's building up until this point where you're going against a team like Oklahoma where their shirts say championship mindset?
I think for us, postseason mentality, it starts the day they step on campus in the fall and preparing for today. To try to figure that out right now would be a little late. So it's about that preparation all fall, through the winter, through the spring, to prepare us for what is right now. So this group, they're fired up, they're excited, they're ready to go. We can't wait.
Missy, just looking back from years ago, but this regional is loaded with a lot of players from the Batbusters Stiff team. Just how good was that team? And you've watched some incredible club teams, no doubt, but from Hannah and Brito and Tierre and Maya and Nicole, there's a lot of All-Americans on one club team. And how much is that familiarity that you had in recruiting Hannah and Alyssa at the time and their familiarity with each other help in a situation like this?
Yeah, the Batbusters organization has been an organization that's been around forever. They've produced a lot of great athletes throughout the years. And just they're an excellent ball club and will continue. So, there's going to be a lot of great athletes on our team, on their team, and on the other two teams in this regional. So, but they've done a great job.
Coach, just overall, going back to Oklahoma, does it feel like you're kind of going home to your own place? Because you spent a lot of years there. Do you have favorite restaurants that you're looking forward to going back to, people that you're seeing, that sort of thing?
Sure. I lived there for, I think, over 24 years. So a lot of my adult life, I was there. And so, yeah, for sure. I have a lot of friends and family that's back in Oklahoma still. So I'm excited to get to see them. Definitely have, I'm sure some favorite restaurants that will hit while we are there. And obviously the familiarity, it's Norman is extremely familiar to me. And so I'm just excited to take my team and get out there and go compete in the Norman Regional. But yes, very familiar. Like I said, I spent a lot of my life there. I think of Coach Gasso and what she's done for me. I think of that program and what it's done for me. And I'm so grateful and looking forward to the opportunity.
That's Coach Lombardi. Her reaction to the draw as a 2 seed in the Norman Regional. Coach Lombardi brought to you by Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck with exceptional cancer care close to home. It's been really interesting for Oregon softball over the last few years and their regional placement. And last year Oregon went to Arkansas, a place that Oregon went to the year prior. So Arkansas and Fayetteville last year was familiar territory for Oregon, and the Ducks made it look comfortable in Fayetteville when Oregon, as the 2 seed in that regional, was able to upset the Razorbacks and end up moving on to the Super Regionals last year. Well, now Oregon, maybe not the whole team as comfortable in Norman, but certainly the head coach is comfortable in Norman, Oklahoma. You just heard her say 24 years spent in Norman, 21 of them as a member of the staff at Oklahoma. Now going to Oklahoma in a new stadium, recently renovated. Oregon, a little bit of comfortability. It was a recipe for success last season. Version 5, now on to version 6. Conversion 6, now an older team, a team that has some postseason experience and a lot of postseason experience across the board from members of last year's team continuing to grow with Coach Lombardi's squad. Will that play a factor? Will that continue to be a recipe for success to Oregon in a comfortable location like it is in Norman, Oklahoma, like it was last year in Fayetteville, Arkansas? That's what I'm looking at going into Friday's matchup at 2:30 p.m. against Boston in Game 1 of that regional. Oregon hoping to win that first game, get into the winner's bracket. It's always easier once you get into the winner's bracket, and, well, I'm sure a few players could tell you about that. Fifth-year seniors Valerie Wong, Ariel Carlson. They're bringing in postseason mentality into this upcoming weekend and into the regional. We're hearing from Oregon's fifth-year seniors when we come back on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Summer's here, and with a new Toyota, you can make the most out of summer with all your friends. Most of my friends happen to be four-legged.
Your summer starts here, but it all ends June 3rd. Toyota, let's go places. Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Summer's here, and with a new Toyota, you can make the most out of summer with all your friends. Most of my friends happen to be four-legged.
Your summer starts here, but it all ends June 3rd. Toyota, let's go places. Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot fast and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. We're still breaking down Oregon's draw in the postseason to the Norman Regional, where Oregon is the 2 seed. They'll take on the 3 seed Boston Terriers coming up 2:30 Pacific time on Friday on ESPN Plus. And I've been really impressed with the ESPN coverage of the softball regionals over the last few years. I called Oregon's softball team last year, the last 2 years, but last year I was under the weather, couldn't go to the regional. I loved the whip-around coverage that ESPN provided for the regional for softball. I thought that ESPN knocked that out of the park. I hope it's the same format this year as it was last year, because I really enjoyed the way that the softball regional and softball postseason was presented last year. And I hope to see some more of it. And I hope that Oregon has some of the same energy coming into this postseason as they did coming out of the postseason, or rather the regional round last year in Fayetteville, where Oregon was able to get the victory over Arkansas in that final game of the regional, sent the Ducks on to the Super Regionals in Stillwater. It was a huge moment for the Ducks. Ariel Carlson was the one who hit the big home run to walk off that ball game. An extra, not an extra inning, a run rule walk-off for Oregon ended up advancing the Ducks last year. Well, Ariel Carlson, she is a fifth-year senior now, a leader of this Oregon squad. And, well, now she gets to talk about the entry into this year's regional going up against Oklahoma. The thoughts from Ariel Carlson.
You're the only one returning who managed to have a hit off Kelly Maxwell, and that's not knocking anybody, Ariel. That's just how good she was. What made her such a challenge, and how did you manage to have some success against her?
Yeah, I think it's exactly what Coach said earlier. She has really good vertical separation. She's able to throw a drop ball and the rise ball, which is something that I think is pretty rare in our sport. And then she also changes speeds really well. So she just has a lot in her arsenal, and you never really know what you're going to get off of her. So she can just throw a lot at you.
You know as well as anyone what it takes to go on the road for a regional and perform at your best and try to help your team advance. How valuable is last year's experience going to be for you? And obviously it's a different group, so kind of what's going to be the challenge of kind of trying to get your team to perform at that level this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think I personally love postseason because I think we just get to leave everything that happened in the regular season in the past, and we just get to play very present and just play for each other and play for the people around you. So I think that's just going to be the message to the team going forward, is just to not take a moment for granted, because we're fighting for our season.
Thoughts from Ariel Carlson entering into this Norman Regional. Kelly Maxwell, she was on the Oklahoma State staff last year when Oregon saw Oklahoma State and the Cowgirls in the Super Regional last season. She transferred to Oklahoma, and so a familiar pitching opponent that Ariel Carlson has had success against coming up on the regional if Oregon does end up matching up against Oklahoma. Valerie Wong, someone who has had a 5-year career here with Oregon and has seen a lot of postseason play as well. Hearing from the utility woman for Oregon and her thoughts after Oregon gets the draw into the Norman Regional. Valerie Wong.
Val, what was your overall thoughts when you saw, the bracket as a whole in your guys' specific region?
Yeah, I think we were just all really excited to hear our names get called. It's always a relief and blessing to be in the postseason tournament. So we were all just really excited.
Well, just what does it mean to you to be one of the fifth years on this roster? I realize several came in as transfers, but for you and Ariel specifically, to be going through this and to be part of this class, what does that mean to you, and what has she meant to you as a teammate throughout this ride?
It just means a lot to me just to be a part of so many postseason teams. Just we've been to postseason each year that we've been here, obviously besides our freshman year. And so we have a lot of experience, and I just love playing with Ariel. She's a competitor, and it's just been nice to see her grow as a player throughout our 4 or 5 years together. And I think it's just really excited that we have a lot of depth and a lot of experience in postseason with this team we have now.
Val, for you, obviously you've made the postseason the last couple of years, and heading into this year, it's your 5th and final year. How much of the previous year's experience and the postseason has prepared you for this moment this year? And do you feel the most confident heading into this postseason over any other postseason you've been a part of?
Yeah, I think we all probably feel the most confident because we have so much experience now. Like we know how to go farther than a regional. And so we're taking what we've learned from last year and our years past into this year. And I think we're all just really excited to go into this Norman Regional and to get out of it and go wherever we go for supers. So
that's Valerie Wong, her reaction to the draw for Oregon softball and her 5th year with the program. I always love where there's some teams, depending on where they want to watch their draw. I always loved that Oregon softball always had it at Coach Lombardi's house. That's where these interviews were held on the Zoom computer coming up, right in, I think it was her bedroom maybe, where everybody comes, gathers, and just gets to have a great time, celebrates the season, entering into this regional play. I think that is a very, very cool aspect of Oregon softball and how they were able to take in the news that they are going back to the postseason and going back to the Norman Regional. Oregon softball, 2:30 on Friday, Game 1 against Boston University on ESPN+. KWVA Night Uretsky will make the trip as they will have the hometown call for the entire regional round. And obviously, once the regionals commence, schedules fluctuate as teams continue to advance. So keep on GoDucks.com for updates and make sure you're following along with the regional updates so that you know when Oregon is playing next, because depending on wins, losses here and there, depending on which teams play, Oregon can play whenever. We know Game 1, Friday, 2:30 against a Boston team that has not lost in 38 consecutive games. Tall task in front of Oregon, postseason mentality. That's been Oregon's MO all year long, trying to bring that into the regional. Oregon baseball, they're bringing in some postseason mentality as well down the home stretch of this season. A ton to play for Oregon baseball. Some positive results on the weekend for the Ducks on the Diamond up in Seattle. We're talking about it when we come back on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Summer's here, and with a new Toyota, you can make the most out of summer with all your friends. Most of my friends happen to be four-legged.
Your summer starts here, but it all ends June 3rd. Toyota, let's go places. Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Summer's here, and with a new Toyota, you can make the most out of summer with all your friends. Most of my friends happen to be four-legged.
Your summer starts here, but it all ends June 3rd. Toyota, let's go places. Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Into the building for the first time after the shooting. It was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because feeling full can sound like this.
How did the interview go? I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
And like this.
Mom, I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/act now. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back inside the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. We already talked about Oregon track and field on the women's side, taking home the Pac-12 crown. as well as Oregon softball in their draw for the Norman Regional. Now we're shifting gears to Oregon baseball. I was up in Seattle with the Ducks over the weekend against the Huskies, and Oregon came into the weekend with a ton to play for, leave the weekend still with a lot to play for. Oregon came into the weekend 3 games back of first place in the Pac-12 with 6 to play. Oregon comes in as well with a whole lot of seeding implications for the Pac-12 tournament, which, by the way, Pac-12 tournament right around the corner. Coming up, maybe a week and a day, maybe 8 days is when Oregon might play their first game of the Pac-12 tournament. We don't know, but the Pac-12 tournament starts next Tuesday. Yeah, it's all the way here, really, after this regular season series that closes up against Washington State at PK Park. Coming up this weekend, a little bit of an abbreviated series this weekend, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series this weekend at PK Park. But we're down the stretch run of the season. All that to say that Oregon has a lot to play for, and every game matters, and the scenarios continue to change based on the results of every single game. We'll start with Friday because the Ducks, they really set the tone on Friday, especially early. The Ducks came out hot. In the 3rd inning, home runs by Maddox Maloney and Mason Neville made it 3-0 for the Ducks early in that ball game. Then a 4th inning RBI single by Jeffrey Hurd and a Drew Smith home run gave Oregon a 6-0 lead early. Unfortunately for Oregon, our talks with Coach Wazakowski throughout the weekend had been about sustained offense. How is Oregon going to deliver that knockout punch throughout the course of a ball game? Well, on Friday, that knockout punch didn't come because after Oregon got that 6-0 lead, starting pitcher R.J. Gordon, he lost just a little bit of touch in the bottom of the 4th inning when the Huskies came back and put up a 4-run bottom of the 4th, which immediately answered Oregon in their 3-run top half of the inning and their 6-0 run to start the ball game. It put Washington right back in it. Oregon was hindered by 2 walks in the inning that aided Washington's offense. Those free passes came back to bite Oregon, made it 6-4. Then in the 6th, another walk set the table for Washington center fielder Cam Whitten, who hit a home run to tie it up at 6-6. In the 7th inning, there was a defensive miscue by Oregon. It was ruled a hit in the ball game. I didn't think it was a hit. We talked with Coach Wazakowski the next day. He didn't think it was a hit. It should have been ruled an error. Everyone thought it was an error except for the scorekeepers at Washington. Nonetheless, it resulted in a run coming in the inning, and it made it 7-6, Washington in front. Oregon couldn't get back into the ball game and retake the lead at any point. Washington kind of took the momentum away from the Ducks. The good thing in that ball game for Oregon is that Washington had to use every single one of their solid bullpen arms, which meant that the Huskies were completely depleted for the rest of the weekend, and it really paid dividends for the rest of the weekend. But the Friday 7-6 loss for Oregon, it was crushing. It hurt. It really stung for Oregon because it eliminated the Ducks' chances at winning a regular season title in the conference. The Ducks, despite the fact that Oregon ended up winning the Saturday and Sunday games, now mathematically out of contention for that Pac-12 regular season crown. But right now, as it stands, Ducks tied for 3rd place with Utah. There's still games to go, and Oregon game and a half back of Oregon State, where Arizona and Oregon State above the Ducks in the table play each other. Oregon can finish as high as 2nd place in the conference coming up after this weekend, and that's because of strong results for the Ducks in the back end of the weekend. On Saturday, Oregon was looking for a response, and sustained offense, knockout punches. Those were the themes of the weekends offensively, the keys to success offensively for Oregon, talking with Coach Wazakowski. The Ducks got that. Early, Oregon really set the tone. I thought Drew Smith did a tremendous job to lead off the ball game. He opened up the game with an opposite-way double into the right center gap, and then the very next batter, Mason Neville, hit a 2-run home run before anybody got out. Mason Neville, he homered in Game 1, he homered in Game 2, made it 2-0 Oregon early. Washington, in the bottom of the first half of the lead, with a solo shot of their own, but then in the second, it was Oregon's free pass. Chase Meggers got hit by a pitch. That was sandwiched around 2 outs. Now with 2 outs in the inning, here comes Carter Garate. He hits a double, puts runners on 2nd and 3rd, and with 2 outs again, lineup flips over. Drew Smith, clutch 2-out hitting, sustained offense. That's what we're talking about. He got the 2 RBI single up the middle, plated both Meggers and Garate, made it 4-1 Oregon. Washington came back, put up 3 in the bottom of the inning, tied at 4, headed to the 3rd. Oregon goes back in front again off of a Maddox Maloney 2-run home run. And look at the stretch for Maddox Maloney. From last Sunday to this Saturday, he stood alone as the Oregon freshman home run champion with his home run on Sunday, put him at 7 on the year. Then his home run on Friday put him at 8 on the year. He had another home run on Saturday, which put him to 9 on the year. He homered in 3 straight games, made it 6-4 Oregon in front. And then in the next inning, Carter Garate. He only had 1 home run on the year. All of a sudden, Carter Garate, he's found some power. Carter Garate on Friday ended his day with a double, started his day on Saturday with a double, then hit a home run right behind it. All of a sudden, Carter Garate makes it 7-4. Washington answers with 2 more, 7-6, then the score in the ball game. In the 6th inning, Oregon continuing to answer immediately, never letting Washington sit with momentum. Maddox Maloney sets the table with the walk for Chase Meggers. He hits a home run right inside the foul pole and right to make it 9-6. Carter Garate also in the inning got a bunt single. I'm not sure if you're keeping track at home, but Carter Garate, he doubled, he homered, he singled. You only need 4 for a cycle. He's pretty close to it. We'll get to that later. Then in the 7th inning, Jeffrey Hurd, he singled, followed by 2 walks that loaded the bases for Chase Meggers with no outs in the inning. Chase Meggers clears the bases to make it a 12-6 score. Meggers' 2-run home run, bases clearing double, accounted for 5 runs batted in a 2-inning stretch. That's the type of knockout punch that Coach Wazakowski was looking for. Doubled up Oregon's lead to 12-6. Then in the 9th, Bryce Betcher reached. All of a sudden, 2 outs come in the inning. Runner on first. All of a sudden, here comes Carter Garate. And he hit one just inside first base, down the right field line, out of the box. You're thinking 3. Go, Carter. Go, Carter. Go, Carter. He rounded second base, and it took a perfect relay from Washington to get him at third. It would have been the first cycle for Oregon since 2010. He was this close. He was this close. He was about a step away when he got tagged out in that ball game. Betcher scored on the play, made it 13-6. Oregon really aided in the back end. Brock Moore, he threw 5 innings in relief. Allowed 3 hits, no runs, 8 strikeouts through 81 pitches. Brock Moore, someone who can ramp it up to 100 miles per hour, giving you 5 scoreless in relief. Waz saying that he's going to start to be ramped up potentially to his starting pitcher that Oregon may be able to utilize in postseason play. That's big time. It evened the series and gave the Ducks momentum headed into Sunday. The Ducks on Sunday did the exact same thing they did on Saturday. Set the tone early. Oregon put pressure on in the 2nd inning, scored 2 runs with another Carter Garate double. Yeah, Carter Garate, a double on Friday. He had 3 extra base hits on Saturday and an extra base hit on Sunday. Carter Garate found some power over the weekend and helped Oregon take a 2-0 lead, but then it was Kevin Sider, the starting pitcher. He ran into a little bit of trouble in the bottom of the 3rd inning. He allowed 4 2-out hits, which put Washington in front 3-2. Kevin Sider, outside of those 4-batter stretch, was absolutely awesome. He allowed just 6 hits for the ball game against Washington. And there was a time from the 3rd inning all the way to the 7th where he didn't allow a hit, and he struck out 7 of his last 11 batters. Kevin Sider steadied the ship because Oregon offensively would chip back in it. In the 3rd, Oregon ties it up with a Bennett Thompson single. Then in the 5th, Mason Neville, with 1 out in the inning, works a 15-pitch walk. 15 pitches. He fouled off 8 consecutive 3-2 pitches to work a 15-pitch walk. He then stole second base and scored on a Justin Casella seeing eye single through the right side, which made it 4-3. Oregon added 1 more in the 7th on a Jacob Walsh sacrifice fly, made it 5-3. In the back end, in the 7th, 8th, 9th, Bradley Mullen, Logan Mercado, they came in to close. Oregon ended up winning the series 2-1 against Washington. Big time win for the Ducks. Kevin Sider, he was awesome in the ball game. Outside of those 4 batters in the 2nd, Kevin Sider, I thought it was his best outing outside of the outing against Oregon State where he took a no-hitter into the 7th. Kevin Sider, some quick thoughts after the ball game.
Bennett Thompson did a great job behind the plate today, stealing strikes, and Hawk had a hell of a game call. So it was easy out there when you have the guys behind you hitting that well. As the series goes, obviously Sunday is the when you got a rubber match, you got to lock in and you got to have your best performance. And I think collectively as a group we had that today.
I thought that Oregon as well brought that mentality into the rubber match. Now Oregon national polls just came out about an hour ago. Oregon sitting inside the top 25 in 4 of the 5 major polls, 20th in the Baseball America, 23rd in Division I, 24th in USA Today, 23rd in the National Collegiate Baseball Writers of America. Oregon in the mix now, trying to position themselves for hosting a regional in postseason down the stretch, and it's going to take a great effort from the fans at PK Park coming up this weekend against Washington State. Abbreviated series against the Cougars, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Not the typical Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday as we go into the stretch run of the season. The Ducks need you to pack PK Park this week. I got too excited. I knocked the helmet off of the table. We'll get that later. Thursday is Brews and Baseball. It was supposed to be last Friday's game against Utah. That game got scheduled to Saturday morning, so it will be Thursday Brews and Baseball. Special ticket package available on GoDucks.com/BSBTix. Ticket includes beer samples and pint cup. You must be 21 years or older to purchase. It begins at 5 p.m. First pitch at 6 o'clock. Friday is the Ducks' birthday. Come and celebrate the Ducks' birthday. Have some fun in the sun with the greatest mascot in collegiate athletics. First pitch is at 6 o'clock then. And then Saturday, arrive early to celebrate this year's senior class with a pregame ceremony. It's Senior Day on Saturday at PK Park, and the gates open at 11 a.m. Ducks need you this series against the Cougs. Ever so important for Oregon's positioning in the Pac-12 as Oregon is looking to host a regional. The Ducks need some support at PK Park, looking for momentum to end the regular season, headed into the Pac-12 tournament. This is where Oregon really picked up last year. The Ducks lost 5 coming into the regular season series finale, and then rattled off 10 wins in a row all the way into the Super Regional. This is the point in the season where you need some momentum. Ducks need you out at PK Park Thursday, Friday, Saturday against Washington State. Big series for Oregon last week. Big series coming up for the Ducks this weekend. Oregon men's golf, they're in postseason as well, coming down the pipeline. They got into the clubhouse a little over an hour ago at the Baton Rouge Regional, breaking down how Oregon performed in round 1 when we come back on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear, call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Adopt U.S. Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the Lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym.
stands for greatest of all time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care would love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union here in the Country Financial Studios. We're talking postseason. Oregon baseball preparing for it, Oregon softball going to it, Oregon track and field winning in it, and now Oregon men's golf. They're in action in the Baton Rouge Regional, just closed up their first round. They came into the clubhouse at 4 over par. That is tied for 6th place in the Baton Rouge Regional as we stand right now. All teams just came into the clubhouse after round 1. You're looking to be top 5 in the regional. Oregon came into this region as the 4 seed. How did the Ducks perform in round 1? It was a little bit of a slow start for Casey Martin's squad, but the Ducks, well, on the front 9, but really their back 9, holes 1 through 9. Oregon started on the 10th tee. The Ducks really picked it up once they hit really hole 5. The last 5 holes of Oregon's day is when Oregon had a ton of success. The Ducks, led by Grayson Leach, he's at 1 under par. He's tied for 9th place. He closed out his round with a birdie to come into the clubhouse at 1 under. Oregon also has 2 players at 1 over par in Nate Stember and Aiden Kraft. That's tied for 22nd overall, 1 over. So a pretty tightly contested bunch, 1 under to 1 over. That's about 13, 14 spots all mixed in there. Then at 3 over, it's Owen Averett. He's tied for 37th on the tournament through round 1. And Eric Doyle, he is tied for 44th place with 4 over par after the first round. Right now it's Virginia in the top spot in that regional. They're 8 under par, Auburn at 3 under, and then it's real logjam. Ohio State and Houston at 1 over, Duke at 3 over, Texas Tech and Oregon at 4 over, South Carolina a shot back of them, Lipscomb a shot back of South Carolina, LSU 1 behind them. Really between 3rd and 10th place, it is a real logjam as Oregon is hoping to continue the success that the women's squad had when the women's squad after round 1 came in tied for being just off of that cut line. Oregon ended up finishing in 2nd place on the women's side in their region. That's what the Ducks on the men's side are looking to do on Tuesday and Wednesday. Joey will break it down for you on the show tomorrow. Whole lot coming up throughout the week. Joey will have it for you. Go Ducks.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of